The black lawmakers are pushing New York State to make a $30 million investment into nonprofits in underserved communities.
Yeah, more than 200 organizations could really benefit from the additional funds. It's one of the stories featured in this week's edition of the New York Amsterdam News. Here to tell us more about it is staff writer Ariama Long. So great to have you here, Ariama. Good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you guys in person.
So let's talk about this. The $30 million is a huge investment. So where is the money coming from, right? And has it been approved by the state already to kind of move forward with the whole process?
So this is coming from the New York State Black Legislative Task Force. The chair, Assemblymember Chantel Jackson up in the Bronx, under her leadership. This is something that got approved in last year's budget,
okay.
But this year they're still negotiating, but they're pushing very hard to get it funded again in this year's budget.
Okay, so who's going to be in charge then of distributing this money, and do you have any idea how much money each nonprofit will get?
Yes, so there's 5 different entities. There's Elm Corps, United Way of New York, FPWA, LISC, and the New York Urban League will be in charge of distributing. The funds from last year haven't been dispersed just yet, but they should be getting anywhere from $25,000 to, in some cases, $250,000.
Wow, and do you know how they determine who gets what?
Yeah, the community grants go to, they filled out applications last year during the state's kind of like listening tour that they did.
Okay.
And over 200 organizations filled out these applications. They got approved by these 5 groups that I was talking about. And now they're just, waiting to disperse it. They're in contracting with the state right now.
Yeah. Okay. So to be continued, right?
Yes.
You also wrote an article about the New York City budget, which is in the throes of it right now. We are kind of knee deep in budget season. It includes this plan to reform the controversial tax lien sale. Now, some folks may not know what that's all about, but Mayor Mamdani actually paused those sales because he says it disproportionately affects communities of color. What did you write about in terms of the mayor's plan?
So the mayor's office reached out. They spoke about their intention to pause it for at least 6 months, to review the entire system over that length of time with the DOF, or Department of Finance, sorry, and come up with an equitable approach is what they said, to cut down on a more predatory system.
Yeah, because the tax lien sales, the deed thefts, they go hand in hand, right? So can you talk about what you found with this, what the city council is doing to kind of prevent that?
I'm actually really happy. A lot of the council members seem to be very, putting this at the top of their lists. Councilmember Sandy Nurse, Councilmember Gail Brewer, Councilmember Justin Brandon, they had passed a package of bills last year. Unfortunately, that had gotten vetoed by the previous mayor and recently reenacted. But essentially, they wanted to establish a city-run land bank to try and make it more equitable that way. Councilmember Chiosei out in Bed-Stuy, he was very, very adamant very recently about calling on the governor to use some of her state powers to pause eviction proceedings related to deed theft, so that people don't get kicked out of their home while they're trying to fight for their homes, right? And some of the state lawmakers, like Senator Myrie out in Brooklyn as well, they worked really hard to put legislation in place in the budget a few years ago or last year to criminalize deed theft, so that people would be held accountable.
But we've been covering it here about how it's been an ongoing and growing problem overall. All right, to be continued on these budgets, because the state one, they already filed an extension. The city one, they're now city council versus the mayor. So I don't know when we're going to get final budgets, but it's not going to be on time. I know that much.
No, it's not.
All right, Ariama, good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, and you can check out this week's edition of the New York Amsterdam News online and in print to read about these stories and much more.